There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Hi, my name is James, and I have a thinking problem. I'm a recovering addict and alcoholic. This is my live stream at 9 p.m. Eastern Time every weekday. Feel free to call in live, discuss with us your experience, strength, and hope on addiction, recovery, and everything in between. Or thinking. William Shakespeare wrote a play called Hamlet, and in that play, Hamlet said, "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." Which, it's a stretch, I know. You may say to yourself, of course there's bad, or of course there's good, but those are human constructs. If you break it down to zero, those are human constructs, and we're limited. We have a finite brain. What up, Mike Lowry? And I had a bad day today, but here was the day. I went to get, another step in the process to working as a mailman happened today. And now I have to wait for 4 to 5 weeks. So I was wondering, why am I so vexed? Well, one explanation is I quit nicotine again. I quit vaping again. I'm getting much less nicotine with these. Anybody who would like to quit nicotine, I highly suggest these nicotine lozenges from CVS. I get the 4 milligram ones and break them in half, make them go twice as far. So when you quit nicotine, irritability, discontentment, restlessness, agitation, it happens. So that was one reason I was restless, irritable, and discontent today. Another reason is because I have these vines growing in my backyard that they're very invasive. I had the bright idea of planting them 8 years ago. And now they're out of control, very invasive. What up, Noah? Mix orange juice with strawberry syrup. It makes red Skittle no joke taste. All right. Thank you for that. Mercury is in retrograde. Is that a song? I have a song that's called Mercury retrograde. I don't know what that means, Holly. What does that mean? Mercury is in retrograde. What does it all mean? And then another thing, my dogs are always itchy and scratchy, and it's because, and you can see her tail wagging over there. There's a girl. And that really irritated me. I think it was mostly the nicotine withdrawal and the vines. I can't stand how fast stuff grows in the summer. But I went to a meeting against everything I wanted to do. I figured get some meeting magic on this day. And I heard the quote in the meeting: "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." Now, in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I've learned that I have a thinking problem. Alcohol consumption is just a symptom of my thinking problem. I'm an alcoholic with a thinking problem. What's up, Gail? And on a good day, I can realize this. And basically, not think my way into the mood I was in today. Mercury retrograde? What am I missing here? Somebody please tell me. What up, ES? Yeah, Noah, there's a stigma around addiction. It says it right in the big book. By the way, if you want to hide something from an alcoholic, put it in the big book. Because, yeah, it does speak about that in the big book. People with alcoholism, and we're sick people. And it's too confusing for the majority of people out there. Even me, sometimes, even me, with my beautiful brain. It's complex. A disease that makes you think your way into drinking. It's complex. You want to be just like, yeah, well, don't think or don't drink. Well, I'm trying to do both, okay? But days like today when I'm withdrawing from nicotine, my thinking made stuff very bad. I was thinking things like, I got to sell my house. I'm not going to deal with these vines out back. It means that if you have issues with communication or the way things work, you haven't asked, oh, Mercury is in retrograde, so like our cell phones are messing up? Is that what basically the gist of it? The gist of it? Let me make sure this telephone is off of Do Not Disturb. So the telephone is off of Do Not Disturb if you'd like to call in, anybody. It literally says for Virgos to slow down, take a deep breath, and sleep on major decisions. Literally all I've been doing is sleeping. Well, you're doing a good job then. Virgo? Are you a Virgo? What up, Virgo? So the way I can see it, they told me they took my fingerprints today for my awesome new job. And they said, we'll get back to you in 4 to 5 months, or 4 to 5 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. If there's one thing I don't like, it's things that are up in the air. Because then I get all in my head about it. If it takes too long, now I got 4 to 5 weeks to figure out what I'm going to do with myself. And I have a new concern. The concern is, number one, the closer I get to being a postal worker, the better the job sounds, and the more I am clinging on to it as something I want. And when we want something, we fear losing it. And when we fear, our character defects get inflamed. So I had to go to another meeting today in the evening. I went to a meeting I've never been before, kind of in the country. Saw a couple people I knew from other meetings, but it was fairly new. There was a couple newcomers, which helps me feel grateful. The way they talked. Let me look up my sign in Mercury retrograde. Let me look it up. Sagittarius Mercury retrograde. During the first half of Mercury retrograde, you need to be organized and careful with your work. If you act on impulse, you might face miscommunications, missed deadlines, and other problems. Take your work seriously and stay focused. while you're on the job. Well, I don't have a job, okay? Shows how much they know. Well, maybe, I don't know. Is Mercury in retrograde? Is Mercury in retrograde right now? It's just Leo DiCaprios and Virgos for Mercury retrogrades. All right, yeah, that's cool. Whatever. Well, that's a load off my mind. Sagittarius can be fine. You know, I was also pissed today because I took my last vape off my vape yesterday, and now I'm all restless, irritable, and discontent. And I got to wait 4 to 5 weeks before knowing if I'm going to be rejected from another job or, you know, some other things that are up in the air. I hate things that are up in the air. I hate them. But now I can't vape. And then I got it in my head, like, I can't even drink when things get tough. That's whackness. Then I realized my ego and myself and my selfishness, my self-centeredness, my self-delusion was creeping back in. Self-seeking motives were creeping back in. They crept back in. They were already in. They were running me all day. Vincent Ruffo says, brother, I feel you. I hate waiting too. I'm waiting for a family court trial to be set so I can take rightful custody of my son. Trust God in all things. That's what I've been trying to do. It's been difficult. Probably because of the nicotine restlessness. And I know there's people that have it a lot worse too, which is why I wasn't grateful that there was newcomers. I'm grateful that I happened to be in the same meeting as newcomers. I mean, there was a guy older than I, and he was in the beginning of the journey, and my journey has taken a long time. I hope to God it doesn't take as long for him to get the gift of spiritual awakening and emotional sobriety. And then another person said with emotional sobriety, with drinking sobriety, she can't drink or she won't be able to stop. With emotionals sobriety, she has to be careful with her emotions or she won't be able to stop. Mike, I don't consider time to be, I guess it is an important metric, but it's definitely not the most important metric. But I'm on my 9th month right now. What up, John Venturini? Good evening. I am an alcoholic with a thinking problem. And for these 9 months, since I've turned it over to God every day, one day at a time, turned it over to God, made my amends, did my inventory, continue to take personal inventory, seek through prayer and meditation, not so much meditation, but I have been to a couple of meditation meetings. I try to meditate. I mean, I guess I don't really try. Maybe it's time to do what another thing that they suggest that I just skip right over. Step 11 is sought through prayer and meditation to keep a conscious contact with God. Truth versus false. Time is a magazine, they said old days in Cleveland. Time is a magazine. Damn, Truth. This is another thing that you've said that throws me for a loop. You be talking that deep shit. Meditation slows the racing thoughts for me. Man, I did 10 minutes of meditation on Sunday in a meditation meeting, and my thoughts were racing so hard It was intense. It was intense. Because I have a thinking problem. Does ADHD help? No. But still, I like what was said earlier about trusting in God. With trust in God, I don't have to think. As the saying goes, if you pray, why worry? And if you worry, why pray? That's right, Mike. Practice. I've been realizing practice is like the word of the year for me. Through practice, I've gotten the concept of one day at a time. Through practice, I have gotten the concept of handing my will over to the care of God as I understand it. Through practice, I practice going to meetings when I'm restless and irritable and discontent. I practice gratitude. The ego hates meditation and screams like a baby. The louder it gets, the better the progress. I'll keep that in mind because my shit gets loud. I said it in the meeting after the meditation. I'm like, damn, that shit's intense, isn't it? And someone agreed with me. It is pretty intense. It's intense. I don't just sit and do nothing for 10 minutes. On like the third minute, you're just like, wow. It is intense how much I want to reach for my phone. It is intense how much I want to just get up and run out of here. It's intense. And I've been practicing doing new things and experiencing new results. One of the best things that you don't know about doing new things is that you get new results that you never had before. In our comfort zone, we don't get these new results. We get the same old results that we've always gotten. There comes a time where the pain is too great to remain in our comfort zones, so we have to get up and venture out. Truth versus falsehood insists that eventually the incessant committee chatterbox in our minds gives up, and then there is peace with practice. And, you guys want to meditate right now? Almost impossible with a device in front of us. But, I don't know. I wonder if there's meditation streams out there. I'm sure with music and whatnot. What's up, Shades? How goes the battle? We're talking about the incessant chatterbox of committee of voices in our head. The thinking problem that is prevalent in alcoholics. My day, sure. At first it was good. I was getting something done. I guess I must have expected, and expectations are future resentments, I've been told, and have found to be true. Expectations are future resentments. But I expected that they were going to say, you start work this week. Now I got to wait 4 to 5 weeks and just be like, I had to sell a single share of Apple, which is like $200 or so. While it was down, it decreased. Warren Buffett sold 50% of his stake in Apple and sold some Bank of America too. Berkshire Hathaway. Doesn't mean there's going to be a recession. Doesn't not mean that, But he, a mind like that has a ton of reasons for, it could have been for tax reasons. It could have been for anything. But the stock market has been climbing for 9, 10, 11 months. A correction is healthy. For those of you who are out there who trade and all that, I want to buy. And to be honest, I want to buy the dip. But I had to sell instead so I can get some money for my, my bills. I had to sell a single share of Apple. And if I sell 2 more, I won't have any stake in Apple. I used to sleep to a fan. Yeah, meditation. Meditation. It's so elusive. It's so vague that it's like, did that help? I don't know if that helped. I think it helped. I don't know. But there's not enough of payoff, especially for an addict like me. I'm used to snorting, shooting, pounding, or slamming something and getting an instant pleasure response. Meditation is like, oh, I got to sit here for 10 minutes and do nothing, and then maybe something positive will happen. It's not really enough. I don't even know if Mr. Beast is a publicly owned offering or whatever. Meditation. Yeah, I mean, there's been times in my life, good times, where, when everything seems to be jiving for a couple weeks or months on end, where like, I'll get some peace, but I don't really just sit. Unless I'm at a meditation meeting, I don't really just sit on purpose and clear my mind. The most I do is mindfulness. I'll come back into the moment a bunch of times. Anytime that I realize that I'm not in the moment, I'll come back into the moment. But meditation, it's too vague, man. Meditation. But I have to learn about it. I have to learn how to do it. On the 11th step of the 12 steps, it is suggested through prayer and meditation we seek to grow our conscious contact with God as we understand Him. So I got to do it. That's all there is to it. Half measures avail us nothing. I have to learn. AA suggests it. Everything that AA suggests is for a reason. And they suggest prayer and meditation. Prayer is easy enough. Our Father who art in heaven, skimbly bim, skimbly bebbin, Frank Drebin. But meditation is like, what do I do? You want me to sit here? Meditation is, this is the mood I've been in all day, by the way. I'm like cynical. I'm like, man, I'm in my 9th month and I still, now I got to wait another month to start working and I'm running out of money. Who knows if my money's going to run out? And I got this peer support specialist job or course I could be taking September 3rd, or I could cancel it and get a refund for $250. But if I cancel it and then the post office also rejects me, now I not only don't have a post office job and I'm not a mailman, but also now I'm not pursuing a career in peer support specialist. And guess who would be at square one again? And that would be a dangerous day. I don't care how much I'm handing it over to God or whatever. If you're at 0 finances and 2 of your very promising careers just shat the bed, I wouldn't be meditating. I'll tell you that. That wouldn't be a day where I'd just be sitting there. That would be more like, well, who knows the future, but I can definitely say that that would be a very disturbing moment. Post office calls like, you got a misdemeanor from 12 years ago where you ran out on a bar tab. Sorry, no more promising career at the post office. And then also I have to refund my peer support class for $250 just to pay my bills. Plus, in 4 to 6 weeks, I don't know when they're going to call or whatever, but they said 4 to 5 weeks. What do you mean, when did they? Today I got fingerprinted and he said, wait for an email. It'll be 4 to 5 weeks. You know, usually no news is good news. So like, you know, so September 3rd will be like 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks. If I don't have an email by then, I'm just going to go ahead and do this 3-week peer support class. But if I get an email, I guess if I get an email that with a start date for the post office, I can either, and this is what I don't like, is this is all up in the air and I don't know how it's going to go, and that shit drives me crazy because I don't know what I'm going to do. When business is done, I can relax, but there's a bunch of business all up in the air. So yeah, I went to get my fingerprints today. It's a good sign that I'm on track to get the job. However, it is the beginning of one of the only things that can prevent me from getting the job. They say they only go back 5 years. I have a misdemeanor from officially to 2015, unless the law enforcement department or whatever, somebody there isn't doing their job and they made a mistake. But that, I know when that happened, it was like 2010. But everything's up in the air. By the time they do email me, it's probably, well, I don't know shit. It might be tomorrow. As I've learned see, this is the thinking problem. I'm in the future now. The future is futile to try to predict because 98% of the things we worry about don't happen. So, but, in 2 minutes, I'm going to forget that and start worrying about it again because that's my thinking problem. It's like you need a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C for real. You know what I mean? Right now, the plan is if they call me with a start date, I think I can, and this is another up in the air. Can I tell them I can't start until the 21st of September? Therefore, I will have a post office job starting on the 21st, and I will have just finished my peer support specialist certification. So I will have that in my pocket. Also be certified to be a peer support specialist, which I think would be a good thing to say on this, to be able to say on this channel. Peer support specialist certified in recovery. It would definitely allow me to help more people. And then I would have a post office job. Another scenario is they call me and tell me, you stole some beer back in 2010 and you can't work at the post office for the government. And then I go to the peer support class and start my career as a peer support specialist. Another thing that could happen is I could get the start date on like the 1st of September, get a refund for the post office, then get a refund for my peer support specialist job because the post office wasn't very flexible on when I could start. So I can't take the class. So I get $250 back, which I will desperately need anyway by then. But I found $5 today when I was walking my dogs. So you never know what's going to happen. Uh, we are responsible for the effort. Thank you, ES. Not the way it turns out. Thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you. Here I am worrying about what I'm going to do 30 days from now and shit. And I got to worry about it every day until 30 days is up. That's basically what I feel is like, what parts can I do until then? What's the best way to execute? And that's what drives me crazy. That's until you're right. You do your part, you let God handle the rest. The wisdom to know the difference. So the serenity prayer goes like this, or at least the short version. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That last line has always been the one that messes with me. What can I change and what can't I change? You know what I mean? Could I go get a part-time job in this? You know, what could I be doing? What can I not be? You know what I mean? When it comes to a newcomer, when they're just not getting it, there's like some sort of block. And you feel like you could say the perfect sentence, you just don't know what it is yet, that will bring them, that will open their eyes, that will begin their awakening. You know, it feels like you have that power, but sometimes you just don't. Post office might pay more, but which would you really want? I know you want to be employed, but what would be better? Right. But post office is an excellent job. And to be honest, I'm pretty adaptable. Adaptive. I'm pretty adaptive. I have to get into a job to realize whether I can do it or not. To my understanding, where I'm going in the post office, the first good news is I found out today that they will have a vehicle for me, a right drive vehicle. The post office Jeep, I'll be driving one of those. There was a chance that I would have to use my own vehicle, which means you got to buy a right, a whole bunch of stuff it means. So that was good news. And you're right, yes, a lot of stuff takes care of itself. But I got a thinking problem. Today was rough. I think it was this is my first full day without my vape. And I think that's definitely, from my experience with quitting nicotine, it's rough. It's rough because you're just angry. You're short-tempered, angry. Noah, here's something you can do. Start learning to listen and listen to learn. I notice how on these streams for the past few months, you're never really talking about the topic. You're never really listening. You just have your own questions about your own concerns in your own life. And this is a disease of self. We have a thinking problem and a self-centered mechanism. So start to practice on how to learn. As far as getting irritated with certain sounds, that's probably an ADHD question. But no, I'm not insulting you, Noah. I'm telling you what has helped me. Start listening. Start practicing listening. That will help you not think about yourself at certain times. And it'll also help you start to grow. I can't stand certain sounds. I told my dad the other day in the car, his seatbelt thing was malfunctioning. It was beeping, and he was instead of pulling over and fixing it, he would just keep going with his stories and shit. And I just told him, hey, I'm not hearing a word you're saying because it's beeping. There's no way I cannot pay attention to the beeping. Yeah, and songs like I Want to Rock and Roll All Night. Right. I understand that, Noah. All I'm saying is I've noticed that you're I've noticed consistently that you're on your own topic about your own problems consistently. It's not an insult. I'm not bashing you. I'm just noticing something that might be able to help you on your journey of recovery. Practice listening. And also, another thing about my sponsor told me, James, your problems aren't uniquely problematic. Your problems aren't unique. They're not special. You think they're world-ending problems. Oh, if you only knew my problem, you'd drink too. They're not. They're human problems. You know what I mean? You might feel like you're the only guy that can't sleep because your dad clears his throat. Now that's annoying. I give you that. And it is a problem. You can do earplugs. You can sleep with a fan. You know, one of those floor fans. What that does is create a white noise sound that other odd noises are muted out by. There's also acceptance, which is very hard, I admit, to try to accept the sound. And trust me, I know. Here's another thing, though, is it's only temporary. You're not always going to live with your dad. He's, you know, but as far as practicing the steps to deal with that problem, God's will be done. Yo, it's God's will that my dad is clearing his throat and he won't shut up. That's just the way life is. Acceptance. Relaxing is something I've done since I was 10 years old. So for 7 years, been irritated for 7 years, and that sounds ridiculous, but whenever I get real pissed off about it, I start thinking about, yeah, well, that's rough. Thinking is rough. You said it. Whenever I start thinking, we have a thinking problem. What do we do in AA about thinking problems? Service. Call another alcoholic. Acceptance. Live life on life's terms. You got a guy clearing his throat in the other room. Right now, that's life right now. You live it on its terms. You can't change it. You accept it. Or you work with it. You compromise with a box fan, earplugs, or you talk to your dad. You might have a resentment towards your dad. You might want to kill him. I know how it feels. You might practice the principles of AA by having the courage to be honest enough and having the integrity of telling your dad how you feel without being angry at him. And that will help you grow into being a man of courage and integrity. Just be like, Dad, when you it really bothers me that you clear your you're just clearing your throat all night. Can I get you a lozenge? And this has helped me grow into being able to approach people with a diplomatic way to express my feelings. It takes courage, and you're going to think your way into not doing it, most likely. You can think your way into not doing it. I clear my throat too, but I understand what you mean. If you can't change it, acceptance is the answer to all of our problems. Living life on life's terms. Saying, God's will be done, not mine. You know, suicide is definitely a my will be done kind of thing. Acceptance is the answer to all of our problems. And then once we accept it, that we can't change it, we compromise, we work with it. Like a box fan, earplugs, sleeping with a pillow on your ear. You might put in your earbuds. You got to kind of work with life on life's terms. And it takes practice and it takes learning. This is something we have to learn. It's not something that's just going to hit you and it works. You might see progress with it. You might fix the problem altogether. Topo Chico, plain seltzer in glass bottles, day 2. I mean, my dad, and my sister be clearing our throat all the time. I do more. I find myself having more phlegm with a PHL. EGM. What a weird word. He doesn't listen, and currently at the moment I'm suicidal and going to end regardless. Accepting severe irritation isn't easy, and addiction and my will. Well, you got to call your sponsor, number one. Tell them all that. I know it's hard. Acceptance is hard. Accepting life on life's terms is super hard too. Just know it's only temporary when you're getting super agitated by him clearing his throat. Just know it's only temporary. It could change tomorrow. God's will be done. Practice love. It's a principle. Love for your dad. Practice hope that you're not going to live with your dad your entire life. Practice discipline. By discipline is practicing the steps in all of your affairs. Practice service, which is the 12th principle. You could Google and find ways to actually help him stop clearing his throat. Lost my sponsor, so I can't call him now because I keep going in my will. Who doesn't listen? Him or you? Is he no longer willing to help you because you keep insisting on implementing your will? Well, listen. Remember what we were just talking about? Start practicing listening instead of talking. It's your ideas and your will that have gotten you into this mess. So start taking the will of your sponsor. Start accepting his ideas and suggestions. I know from being on this side of a spiritual awakening, I know that listening is a powerful, powerful tool. And I'm practicing and getting better and better at it. But as long as I practice. But it started with practice. Yeah, that's a good idea, Shades. It's a um, suicide is a serious word. Noah says, and I guess because school is about to start, I'm also not happy for that to get grades and stress. That is future. You're future tripping. We all do it, but realize that 98% of the things that you're worried and fearful of don't happen. And I know that's not easy. It's not easy for me. I got 4 to 5 weeks. I was pissed because now I got 4 to 5 weeks of just thinking about the future that I got to go through. I know it's hard. I did go to a meeting, which was suggested, and it wasn't because I absolutely knew it was going to help. It's because since it's been suggested, I have been practicing it, and I have a good feeling that it will help. So I went to a meeting, and it did. It didn't erase all my worries. My vines are still creeping up my vinyl. My dogs are still scratching, and I still have 4 to 5 weeks to worry if the FBI is going to prevent me from working at the post office. But the meeting took the edge off. Meetings are medicine. All I can say about ending one's life, and I've considered it before because the pain is too great, is that number one, it is the most selfish act a person can do. And number two, don't make permanent decisions on temporary emotions. Emotions, pain, they're temporary. Ending your life is permanent. And that's what I can say about the old S word there. I've considered it very, very recently. 9 months ago, I couldn't stop drinking, or I thought I couldn't stop drinking. I was wrong. I thought my life was not going to be shit. I'm not going to be shit. Nothing is nothing. So ending it all is a great option, except I knew I had dogs. And you talk about sounding silly. This might sound silly to a couple of you, but because my dogs would be left without me, I didn't do it. Because my dad, my sister, and all the peripheral relationships that I'm sure they don't think about me every day, but they definitely would if one day they woke up and I wasn't here. But mainly my dogs. Yeah. Well, text can be misconstrued, Noah. And we all know that those thoughts can become real sometimes. I mean, I was just describing mine. And it's not a dirty, everyone, the internet thinks it's a dirty word and everybody's scared of it and the shit. But straight up, think about how your dad would feel. Have some courage. Courage is is one of the 12 principles of AA. Double down on your program, young man. The program is the answer. In your head, you won't find the answer. Suicide is not the answer. In the program, you can find the answer to what are you going to do about going crazy when your dad's clearing his throat. In the program, you can find the answer to feeling suicidal. In the program, you can find all the answers to all of your problems. In the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, with your sponsor, Your sponsor fired you or whatever because you don't listen, you're going on your own will. A lot of AAers are like that. You know why? Because they've been in their own will before and they know it's useless. It's useless if you're going to continue to go on your will. Your will is the problem. Therefore, there's no working with you. So, you know, but I will tell you this too shall pass. So when it does, which could be tomorrow, you'll be glad you didn't end it. This too passes, bro. The good times, the bad times, the ugly times, they pass. I've been on cloud 9 for almost the duration of these 8 months that I've been sober. Today I had a bad day. It occurred, I was about to go out and get my vape, my binky. And then it occurred to me, man, you're not even going to be able to drink. You don't even get to do anything to relieve yourself when you're in these moods. What kind of bullshit is that? I started getting entitled. Man, I can't even have a drink. I started getting pissed. I'm like, every day is going to be a struggle. Every day for the rest of my life is going to be a struggle, and I can't even have a drink. You know what that is? That's the lawyer of alcoholism trying to get you to the liquor store. McDonald's drive-thru. Warren Buffett goes to McDonald's drive-thru. He said if the stock market's up, you know, maybe he'll get a latte. But if the stock market's down, he just gets a coffee. This is the richest man on planet Earth multiple times running. Relapsing on McDonald's. Don't do it, Mike. Actually, do it. McDonald's breakfast, irresistible. Sometimes the 2 cheeseburger meal. Oh, well, actually, now they have at a McDonald's near me, they have double cheeseburgers, 2 of them for $5. Well, think of that every time you want to smoke a joint. It doesn't even do anything. Bro, you got to get another sponsor. Perseverance is one of the 12 principles. Perseverance is principle number 10. Continue to take personal inventory. When we're wrong, promptly admit it. Bro, you're wrong for considering suicide as an option. Promptly admit it. Have the perseverance. Have the discipline to do so and the courage to keep on keeping on. Humility. Your problems aren't special. They're no worse. Your pain is equal to my pain, John Venturini's pain, Shade's pain. Practice the principle of love, the 8th principle, for the people that would miss you when you're gone. And courage, bro. We have fear about this life. I have fear about the next 4 to 5 weeks, about the FBI rejecting me for my job at the post office, about never being able to drink again even on the bad days. Have some courage. It's in the principles. The answers are in the program. They're not in your head, Noah. Times like these, divert to the program. What principles can you practice when it comes to being annoyed by your dad clearing his throat all the time? Love. Discipline. Hope that, you know, you're not going to be living with your dad all your life. Service. Help him. Stop thinking about yourself. We have a disease of self. The more we think about ourselves, The more we self-seek, the more selfish we are, the more sick we are. If you're bothered by some noise, stop thinking about yourself. Think about how your dad feels. Maybe help him, do some service. Call another alcoholic. Spirituality and faith. Trust that God, it's God's world. Life on life's terms. Your dad clears his throat. You can't smoke weed. That's life. That's God's will. Your will wants to smoke weed. Your will wants to get upset. It's justified that you can't sleep. Me. You know who else was all about himself? Hitler. I'm kidding, but it's true. You know who else is all about themselves? 4-year-olds. Me. I don't want to eat that. I want to eat that. Give me that sharp-ass knife. It's not going to hurt me. I want to drive a car. You're 4 years old. I don't care. I want to do it. Damn narcissistic 4-year-olds. Dude, you got opinions about your dad. You got opinions about the situation. You know who else has opinions? 4-year-olds. And Hitler. Hitler had a bunch of opinions. He had a bunch of desires. He was literally asserting his will and wanted the world to live by his will. Guess what he did? Well, he shot himself. And if you keep asserting your will, insisting that you're wronged by the way the world is, bro, sickness. Yes, you're a 4-year-old Hitler. That's what I tell myself when I'm insisting that my opinion rules. And since I've figured out that my opinions and my will are what got me drunk, jails, institutions, death, dumped, fired, all that shit. Now I go by God's will. Guess what, bro? It's God's will that your dad clears the throat and you can't sleep. Right now, that's God's will. That's life. Guess what I don't want to say being a grown-up because I'm not even there yet. But guess what? Guess what the right thing to do is? Accept it. We're not even in charge of when we can sleep, what kind of noises go on and shit. You know what I mean? If you're having suicidal thoughts, Noah, it's because of your own will. You're insisting on your own will, and it's not. We can't control the world. We're not the director. We're not the director. Reality is a power greater than all of ourselves. The reality right now is, there's some noises while you're trying to sleep. Insisting your will, you can implement your will by trying some earplugs, trying a box fan, different things. They may seem like compromises, but that's what we got to do with reality sometimes. Compromise. We got to work with it. Reality ain't going to change. Reality is a power greater than us, God's will. You know what I mean? And this is an extreme example, but if my dogs, whom I love dearly, get taken from me tomorrow, I will still be like, God's will be done. And I'm going to be upset because I'm human, but I won't be upset for long because God's will be done. Acceptance is the answer to all of our problems. And suicide isn't a dirty word or a dirty subject. We're all human. I was thinking about suicide today. I wasn't thinking about like I was going to do it, but when I realized that in the summer these weeds and vines and shit grow at an astonishing rate, and my dogs are all itchy and I'm itchy, and nothing is ever solved, and everything needs to be mowed or trimmed, and I got to get a job that they never let me get, and I can't even have a vape, and I can't even have a drink. I'm like, you know what? Fuck this world. And I start getting entitled, and I think less and less of others that would miss me. And I say, you know what? Fuck. I mean, I can relate. Sometimes the world it seems like it's too much, but that's only because we're insisting on our will, what we want. The fears of what we think we're not going to have that we want are driving us crazy. Fear is the corroding thread that activates all of our character defects. I wasn't the most polite person today. I probably yelled at my dogs once or twice because I can't stand when they're itching and licking their paws. I can't find the solution to it. So it is very it ignites my fears and my character defects. First of all, Noah, everyone thinks. It is a fact that you don't know what people think, let alone every single one of them. So that's a fact. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. You don't know what people think. And you have a sickness of the mind called alcoholism. It will tell you that everyone's thinking this. Those are opinions. Those are your will. Those are your fears manifesting. It is a fact that you don't know what people think. Bro, I'm proud of you, man. To have this kind of awareness at your age, 17, 18. I'm proud of you. You're doing well. You're growing. This pain is growth. You can be sure about one thing with pain of this nature, it's growth. The one time we don't grow when we experience pain is when we use drugs like alcohol, opiates, heroin, any kind of mind-altering drugs, emotional numbing drugs. That means the pain is just set aside, and so is your growth. So this kind of pain is growth. And bro, I think we can all remember our teenage years. It's a painful growing period. What you're going through is completely normal. All you have to do is get through it. This too shall pass. Don't make permanent decisions on temporary situations and emotions. What you're experiencing is nothing that we haven't gone through. Shit. When I was a teenager, I destroyed an elementary school. $20,000 worth of damage. Snuck out with my friend, crowbar, ball peen hammer, destroyed an elementary school. We went to juvenile hall. That was a permanent decision on a temporary emotion. And you're like, you may think, James, how did you destroy an elementary school? We broke into every one of the 18 portable, mobile classrooms and tore down everything from the ceiling to tipping over TVs, activating the fire extinguishers, throwing the signed baseball out the window, opening all the mail, chewing all the gum, throwing all the desks, breaking all the windows. That was my teenage years. And then juvenile hall. So, Purple Turtle, what up? Is it normal for someone's dad to be buying him weed? And has he been taking opioids for years? And Holly said 17. Normal is a setting on a washing machine. I can tell you that. It's not a setting on a human being. Normal is the setting on a washing machine. It's not an... So, normal, I can't answer that because normal isn't a setting on a human being. The world is complex. With a sponsor that knows your situation, with a sponsor that you're willing to listen to. So you're realizing that you're powerless over alcohol and drugs, other drugs. Yeah, it was fun, but don't go do it. Don't go do it. But that was just I was just trying to illustrate how teenage years they're rocky. So just realize what you're going, just take a deep breath. What you're going through is perfectly typical. Par for course. You're not alone in the universe with your problems that no one else has ever experienced. And the caliber and the frequency of those problems are not unique or different either. Every one of us has experienced extreme pain and tumultuousness. I took a lot of drugs when I was 14, 15, 16. I wish my dad would bought me weed. But you got to get a sponsor that knows your situation and you ask him. That's why you need a sponsor. So you're starting to realize you're powerless over alcohol and other drugs. Right. Well, you know what I meant, and I know what you mean. So, touche. Is it normal? I don't know. I don't know. By normal, I mean typical. By typical, I mean teenagers. It's a notoriously bad time on a consistent scale for human beings. Purple Turtle, is it normal for, I don't, healthy, does he buy him opiates? Does he even know he's an addict? Is his dad normal? These are the things that your sponsor would know. Is it healthy? Probably not. In fact, I would, no. Noah, your first step is I'm powerless over alcohol and drugs, other drugs. Powerless. I cannot do them. Your second step is coming to believe that a power greater than you can restore you to sanity. That means instead of asserting your will, you are now asserting the will of your sponsor or a God of your understanding or the big book, the principles, the 12 steps. These are powers greater than you. So you're obviously not doing step 2. I have a feeling you're conceptualizing that you're powerless over drugs. Yeah, that Snapchat episode asking users for drugs, that suggests you're powerless over drugs. You're experiencing consequences in your life that are outside of your power. You're powerless over drugs. That means you stop that behavior. When I realized I'm powerless over alcohol and other drugs, I stopped doing them. The reason I practice the 12 steps is because without drugs, the problem is very prevalent. Without drugs and alcohol are a temporary treatment for the problem of restlessness, irritability, and discontentment. Without drugs like alcohol and other drugs, I had accentuated, I now have the problems of self and the problem of thinking. What do? You trust that the program of Alcoholics Anonymous will restore you to sanity. That's a power greater than you. You trust that God's will be done. And you accept it no matter what. Got a call from a viewer.
Call from.
Carl?
Hello, this is Sober James.
Hey, Sober James, Carl, man. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Carl, how's it going? Do you have any, have you been watching the stream?
Have a what? Yeah, I've been watching the stream.
Yeah.
My neighbor bought me a 6-pack of non-alcoholic beer over, and I'm debating whether I should drink it or not, do you have any advice or comments on that?
Non-alcoholic beer is for non-alcoholics.
Okay, so I shouldn't drink it, huh?
I don't. And I was told that a non-alcoholic beer is for non-alcoholics. Do you?
Yeah, I was just afraid that it might give me the urge, you know?
It might give you what? Oh, urges.
It might give me the urge to drink real beer.
Well, what's your motive for drinking a non-alcoholic beer?
It's none. It's my neighbor bought it over. He knows I stopped drinking, and he bought it over. I guess he thought he was being kind, but, damn, I'm looking at it right now. It's like, should I drink it or no? Or
yeah, it's what would be your motive to drink it?
Well, I guess you're right. I'd probably want to relive old times, you know?
Yeah, if your motive was, even if your motive was to drink it to be polite, that is still a boundary that you would have to consider because, yeah, man, it's dangerous. I think you asking me is proof that you know the answer.
Yeah, sometimes I'd like to just forget I'm alcoholic, James. I know it don't work, but
yeah,
you know,
your alcoholism wants you to forget that you're an alcoholic.
It's a bitch, man. Fuck.
But yeah, that's what I was told is non-alcoholic beer is for non-alcoholics.
Okay, buddy. Thanks a lot. Take care.
All right, brother. Have a good night. I don't know. Do you guys agree with that? There's only one questionable motive to do that, would drink it, would be to be polite. But that's a boundary that you're breaking with yourself. Even if you're being polite for the neighbor that brought it over, that might open up a whole different can of worms. Your alcoholism might know that if you do that, your neighbor might then bring alcoholic beer the next time. I would, another thing I would do, Carl, is practice a new skill of politely, diplomatically setting your boundary. Or talk to your sponsor. This is why we have sponsors. Because we can't find the solution in our own brain. Our own brain is sick. With 2 alcoholics in recovery talking about it, especially one that has a spiritual awakening, I've learned skills like to diplomatically do it, like joke around, and there's different ways to do it. But that's a good question, Carl. I do know that. That is like tugging on a lion's tail. Drinking a non-alcoholic beer is like going up to a 1,600-pound male lion on the Serengeti while he's sleeping and tugging his tail. You might get away with it the first time. You might even get away with it the second time. But one of those times, Old Scarface is going to wake up and tear you a new asshole. That's alcoholism. So good on you for contacting another alcoholic about that. I mean, that was the right move. Because, bro, the problem is in our head. The solution doesn't reside there. That's the cunning, baffling, and powerful fact about our alcoholism. It's a disease of the mind and a disease of self. The solution doesn't reside in the mind. The solution doesn't reside in yourself. You have to go to another alcoholic. You have to go to your sponsor. You have to go to powers greater than yourself. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Another thing we could have done with that answer is it in the 12 steps to drink that non-alcoholic beer? The 12 principles, let's see if any of them suggest that it is. Honesty is the first principle. Honestly, should you even be tasting beer? Faith and courage. Courage, it would take courage to set that boundary. Integrity. I'm an alcoholic. I wouldn't even like to taste beer. Do I have the integrity and the courage to be able to tell people that same thing? Now, if that causes more problems, it's probably not. Humility to be honestly like, nah, man. You know? And motives. It's got to be it always comes down to motives. You have to honestly seek what your motive for drinking the beer is. And Carl, you said it. Maybe, you're sick of being an alcoholic sometime. I was sick of it today. I was having a bad day and I was like, fuck, I don't vape because I don't want to be a vapor. My mom died of lung cancer. Her dad died of lung cancer. I don't want to smoke cigarettes and I don't want to vape. They get the best of me sometimes and I'll go out and buy a vape. Almost did it today. I was already talking myself to I'm running out of money, but it was only $10. I need my binky. And then I started getting pissed. Why can't I vape? I can't even vape. I can't even drink. I'm going to be miserable. And then I started predicting the future. I'm going to be miserable for the rest of my life and I can't even drink. This bullshit. So not only do I know what's best for me at this point with my self-will, I'm predicting the future. And that's how powerful addiction is. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. So the main answer for that, Carl, would be motives. What's my motive to drink this beer? If my motive is to be polite, he brought me the beer, I would honestly inspect that motive and be like, and there's one thing that should win, and that is I'm an alcoholic. I can't be triggered. I can't be tugging on this lion's tail. It is proven with an undoubtable fact to be more powerful than me, and cunning and baffling and powerful. How cunning and baffling and powerful? All of a sudden there's a 6-pack of non-alcoholic beer in your house. How the fuck did that happen? There is thousands of other non-alcoholic beverages on earth. How cunning, baffling, and powerful is alcoholism? All of a sudden you have non-alcoholic beer in your house. Not soda, not seltzer, not juice, not Pellegrino. But non-alcoholic beer has made it into the perimeter. That's how cunning, baffling, and powerful that is. Why has it got to be non-alcoholic beer? That's how sneaky it is. That's some of the ways I look at it. I hope that helps. The weed, I kicked the weed. In fact, I kicked a very enjoyable, and I mean the word joy in the word enjoyable, growing pot and having pounds all around. And I kicked it. It was a power move because I knew it would reap generous rewards. So one of my, oh shit, 1 second. One of my tools I go to that are, it's very powerful, is that I know that quitting vaping is going to reap generous rewards. Rewards I don't even know about because I've quit a lot of stuff and a lot of times in a lot of my life. And I realized that rewards that you didn't even envision come into your life because you don't have the power, the foresight to envision the rewards. I mean, abstract stuff. Like, an example would be you meet the love of your life because you didn't go to the vape store that one day. You went to the park instead. You know, abstract stuff. Stuff that's more powerful than you can imagine. I was walking my dogs today. I've been deciding to do new things because in AA, it's a whole shit ton of new things that are reaping rewards. So I went on a different route today, walking my dogs. I found a $5 bill. So one of the tools I use to quit shit like weed is that I know all the benefits of having the weed, but there was more consequences than benefits. I was obsessed about it. I knew it had to go. I had to do the next right thing. If you know the next right thing to do it, because it reaps powerful rewards that you don't even know about. And that's one thing I've used to quit a lot of stuff. And one of them was weed, growing weed, selling weed, having weed, smoking weed all the time. Weed. But I knew the next right thing was to rid myself of it. So I broke down the 5x5 tent and the lights and the $1,000 grow op and everything. And I sold it and I got rid of the weed. Now I'm working at the post office. That was 8 months ago. Now I'm working at the post office. You know what the post office does? Drug tests a dude. That's just one of the benefits I got from doing the next right thing. I'm no, and there's a shit ton. I could list them of benefits that you get that you can't envision because doing the next right thing is a power greater than yourself. You are choosing to do something not for yourself. You're choosing to do not. I wanted to keep smoking weed. I wanted to keep growing weed. I went the total 180 opposite direction and did what I didn't want to do because I knew it was the next right thing. The rewards that happened from that, I wasn't able to predict. But if you want to quit something like weed, just do the next right thing. Trust in God that the rewards will be prevalent and astounding. You trust in God. You don't trust in your own will. But I don't want to get rid of weed. I know I'm not going to like not getting rid of weed. I know I like weed. I know that I'm making money. You don't know shit compared to the power of the universe and the power of God. You don't know shit compared to doing the next right thing. When you start to do the next right thing, you start to reap heavy dividends, heavy positivity, and you start to connect the dots. You know what I mean? What you really need, what you really wanted and you didn't even know you wanted comes into your life. That's one of the things I use to quit these self-will behaviors and these character defects and these kinds of things. If I know I really want to do it, this is how much I believe in this. If I know I really want to do it, and I just really want to do it, like today, I really wanted to go get a vape, a $10 vape. I started talking myself into it. You got 4 or 5 weeks of just being nervous and anxious about this job. You really just want something, you know what I mean? I had to give myself something with stopping alcohol. So you're in charge. That's bad news. When you're in charge, it's bad news. You do what your sponsor says, you do what the steps say, you do the next right thing, you do everything in God's will, you will climb faster and higher than you've ever been in your entire life. That's my testament. That's what's been happening to me. I had a bad day today. It's very significant because I just haven't been having bad days. The other bad day was when I got fired from the zoo and when I lost my monetization. I've had about 3 bad days in the past 250 days from doing the next right thing, trusting in God, letting go of my will. I want to smoke weed. I know everything. No, I don't. And I don't even know what I want. They popped me on. I was a security guard, and a month went by, and the FBI fingerprint check came back, and they found a petty larceny charge, a misdemeanor from, they said 2015, but I know this particular instance was in 2010 when I ran out on a bar tab. Got arrested, told the story on a stream a couple streams ago. Long story short, I didn't have a cushy job at the zoo anymore, and I really love that job, and I really could be using it right now. Really could be using that paycheck. Michael, you've been having a bad day. I would lay the remainder of my dozens of dollars on it. You've been having bad days because you've been in your head about asserting your will. Me. Michael. Do the next right thing. The more you don't want to do it, the bigger the payday. Go to AA. Get a sponsor. Work the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Biggest paycheck in your life. Tell me I'm wrong, Michael. Tell me I'm wrong. What did you do today? What were you worried about today? What are you worried about right now? It's got to have to do with something about Michael. Something about you're not going to get something. Something about your deepest, darkest fears. Let me read the reflection of the day because this is exactly what it's about. Hey Siri, what is the daily reflection of Alcoholics Anonymous today? Yeah, Michael doesn't want to go to prison. Have you asked yourself, is it God's will that you go to prison? Today's daily reflection for August 6th, driven. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, self-pity. We step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. My selfishness was the driving force behind my drinking. I drank to celebrate success and I drank to drown my sorrows. Humility is the answer. I learned to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. My sponsor tells me that service keeps me sober. Today I ask myself, have I sought knowledge of God's will for me? Have I done service for my AA group? Bro, showing up to an AA meeting is service. Someone there hears your experience and gains hope. Showing up to an AA meeting is service. It's something that you don't want to do. It's something that isn't for Michael. He isn't going to be comfortable. He isn't going to like it. There's people in AA that says if you don't want to do it, that's the thing to do. That's how much our self-will and that's how much we are a problem. If you don't want to do it, that's the next right thing to do. Some people say that. I have yet to even really consider that it's true, but I have found it to be true. To be honest, I didn't want to stop smoking weed. I didn't want to drive to that meeting today. Helped. Sometimes I don't want to do these streams. This one helped. I'm doing things for other people. I'm getting out of me. This is a problem of self. Our fears, they're based in self-seeking motives. They're based in selfish. It's a self thing. Why did I have a bad day? Because I don't want to be thinking about how my next 4 weeks are going to go. I don't want my weeds and my vines growing in my house because that'll affect my future. Is 12:01 a.m. closer to midnight? It's closer to midnight. I'm always confused on is midnight 12 a.m. So if I want to set an alarm for midnight, I always set it for 12:01 a.m. But yes, 12:01 in the military is just 01. Wait. Yes. Yeah, it's 001. 12:02 midnight is 002. 1:01 a.m. in the military is 01:01. So like 12:01 a.m. is 1 second into the day. That's how you look at it. Yeah, Carl, and you might choose to not even talk about it to your neighbor, you know, and it just be, or your sponsor might say, just tell them you gave it away or something, you know. But that was a good move, you know. I mean, good decision. You checked your motives, you were honest with yourself, and you don't test the lion. Alcohol is more powerful than I. Period. End of story. It's the first step. I am powerless over alcohol. Well, you could say, well, it doesn't have any alcohol in it. But you know what you're doing. Hell yeah, get some ice cream. Fuck yeah, celebrate that shit with some ice cream. Goddamn ice cream doesn't have any goddamn alcohol. You know what I'm saying? Celebrate. Good job, Carl. I mean, that's a good job. Now I would take it to your sponsor. Why the hell was I considering even drinking that? You know, because I like the taste of beer. Beer's gross. I've always thought beer was gross. If I drink non-alcoholic beer, it's because I want a taste of the old days. And that shit is just dangerous. You know what I mean? Don't fuck with it. And that's being humble. Some people will be like, you can't even drink. Well, assholes or people that don't understand might say, or your alcoholism, the voice in your head that is alcoholism might say, you can't even drink a non-alcoholic beer. You deaded. Be humble. No, I can't. No, I ain't fucking with that shit. Last time I did that, I woke up 3,000 miles away the next morning. Spent my paycheck on a fucking plane ticket. And that's a fictional story, but I could tell you fucking real ones that are more ridiculous. So, yes, excellent way to practice the principles in all of your affairs. The very first being honesty. Do I honestly want to drink a non-alcoholic beer? What is the deal here? Alcoholism, be gone. Alcoholism, get behind me. Satan, get behind me. Fuck that. Good power move, Carl. The weed, that's a power move too. Just eliminate it and start growing. Do the next right thing. Integrity, courage, discipline. hope for a better future, faith that it's God's will be done. You know what I'm saying? These are just power attributes. You think smoking a joint and drinking a non-alcoholic beer for your evening is a powerful, example of a man? Nah, bro. That's alcoholism. That's addiction. You know what I'm saying? Stoicism. Stoic. Reality is I can't be drinking and I can't be smoking weed. I don't even really give a fuck about it. Get it out my face. And sometimes reality, sometimes reality sucks. You know what I mean? But if we try to overpower it, it doesn't work. If we try to control it, change it, it doesn't work. Reality is a power greater than ourselves. God's will be done. So someone's snoring in your ear, double down on the 12 steps, double down on the principles. Get yourself another sponsor, Noah. These are my suggestions. Suicide, creeping into your brain waves, triple down on the program. The solution is within a power greater than yourself. The book, the 12 steps, God, AA meetings. We are a power greater than each of us individually right now. On this channel, we together, speaking about it, is a power greater than me alone in my mind thinking. The power doesn't resolve in your mind, Noah or anybody else, or James, me. The power doesn't reside in my mind. The power doesn't reside in myself. The problem resides in my mind. The problem resides in myself. Seek another. Seek a power greater than yourself. It's outside of your mind. It's in the book. It's in the meetings. It's in God. It's everything that isn't you. Not everything. Humility. And as far as old Shakespeare's quote, what up, Cindy? Thanks for sharing. Thanks for dropping in. As far as the old Shakespeare quote from Hamlet, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Noah, you can listen to Hamlet and Shakespeare on that one. Your dad snoring, it's neither good or bad. It's you. It's your thinking. It's your mind. It's yourself that's making it so. Well, good job, Carl. Double down on what happened there. Learn from it. You got a freebie. That could have went one of two ways. The way it just went was the good way, or so it is in my mind. The other way, we could have been talking to you 3 months from now out of a 3-month blackout. That shit is real. Don't get it twisted. I would definitely investigate what just happened there, and as far as your motives, your mind, your alcoholism. How can you grow from it and improve from it? That's what we do with relapse. That's what we do with drinking dreams. That's what we do with these everyday situations that put us in a bad way. Close calls, all of it. Run it through the steps. Run it by your sponsor. Run it by the principles. Run it by your new way of life. Your old way couldn't handle it. Your thinking won't handle it. Your old self won't handle it. It comes from a new way, a new power greater than us. So it's been a pleasure. Stay out of your mind. Stay out of your head. It's a bad neighborhood. And I shall see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, keep it clean, keep it real, keep doing the damn thing. Stay out of your head one day at a time. Peace.